signed in, and then we can go ahead and begin. All right, well, hello and welcome everybody. We're glad you could join us today. My name is Brittany Sweeney Lawson, and I'm the Resource Facilitation Manager with the Brain Injury Alliance of Arizona. We're glad you could make it today for Your Disability Voting Rights and Virtual Voting Registration Q&A today. Just as a reminder, the Brain Injury Alliance of Arizona is a nonprofit statewide organization that helps connect people with any type of brain injury and disability, as well as their family members and professionals, with appropriate resources and information based on their needs. So I wanted to let you guys know about some of the upcoming programs we have that are all accessible via our website, which is www.biaaz.org. So one we have coming up this Sunday is our Survivor Sundays. It'll be this July 9th, and then the following week on July 26th as well. And our guest speaker will be traumatic brain injury survivor Connor LaPlante. That will be from about 1 to 2 p.m. on Sunday. We also have The Next Frontier for Arizona's Opioid Crisis, Identifying Brain Injury in the Substance Abuse and Misuse Populations. That'll be presented by Dr. Suzanne O'Connor, and that will be on Saturday, July 18th from 10:30 a.m. to noon. And then also we'll have our COVID-19 and the nervous system, neurological complications that can result, and that'll take place on Tuesday, July 21st from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. And so if you didn't write all of that down, don't worry. Our executive assistant, Kristen, will be providing you with a follow-up email with links and connections to all of this information. So you can look for that in your email after this Q&A. So part of why we are having this presentation today is because July 13th through 17th of this entire week has been National Disability Voter Registration Week. There are about 767,091 people living in Arizona who have at least one disability. And the right to vote in this country is one that belongs to everyone. So we want to ensure that the voices of those in the disability community are heard, because they do in fact matter. And so the Brain Injury Alliance of Arizona has been partnering with the Arizona Center for Disability Law for this Q&A in order to help answer some common and maybe not so common voter registration questions, and just to make sure that you know how to get registered if you haven't already. We have a special link through the Arizona Center for Disability Law that you can use to register to vote online. And you can call us at the Brain Injury Alliance of Arizona if you need assistance filling out the form. And more information on that will be forthcoming in the presentation. So without further ado, our presenter from the Arizona Center for Disability Law today is Mr. Renaldo Fowler. Renaldo is a senior staff advocate with the Arizona Center for Disability Law, where he has been employed since 1984. Renaldo joined the ACDL following his graduation from ASU and has worked in the disability advocacy field for the past 35 years. Presently, he is working extensively with laws affecting students with disabilities within the educational system. He has been a voice in the state regarding racial discrimination in student discipline, as well as the disproportionately and over-identifications of African-American students in special education. Renaldo has successfully developed numerous trainings related to special education and positive behavior supports relating to restraint and seclusion in schools. He is also the co-founder of the African American Conference on Disabilities. The AACD is the only comprehensive conference in the US that addresses the intersection between race and disability. In January 2014, Renaldo was promoted to coordinator of the Help America Vote Act, or the Help America Vote Act Protection and Advocacy Voting Access Program, or the PAVA. The purpose of PAVA is to ensure full participation in the electoral process for individuals with disabilities, including registering to vote, casting a vote, and accessing polling places. So thank you very much for being with us today, Renaldo, and the time is yours.
Thank you, Brittany. Thank you for inviting me, and I look forward to this presentation. PowerPoint up, please. Thank you. Thank you. As again, my name is Renaldo Fowler. I work for the Arizona Center for Disability Law, and I want to welcome everyone on board to this presentation and question and answer. This is a very important time for us today. What we're going to be talking about is voting. And so what I want to do today is talk about what you need to know when you're voting in Arizona. So we're going to talk about that. The next slide, please. So before we get started, I want to do some little ground rules. So the purpose of this presentation is to question and answer and provide general information regarding the voting process. And so one of the things I'm going to say today is that this information is provided in a summary form and is not intended to be a substitute for legal advice. I'm not an attorney, so I will not be giving legal advice today. I'm going to be speaking about this voting process in general. And so if you have legal questions, we'll ask you to probably email that information to us and we'll see if we can get back with you. So one of the things you need to keep in mind is that federal and state law can change at any time. So please stay abreast to the possible changes of the law. Next slide, please. Okay. So let me give you a little bit of background information about the Arizona Center for Disability Law. The Arizona Center for Disability Law is a law firm dedicated to protecting the rights of persons with disabilities with a wide range of physical, mental, psychiatric, sensory, and cognitive disabilities. We're known as ACDL, so we'll talk about ACDL. ACDL is also part of a nationwide protection and advocacy voter access system. As Brittany mentioned earlier, protection and voter access comes from, next slide please. It comes from the Help America Vote Act. The Help America Vote Act is a federal law that was passed in 2002. And the whole purpose of the Help America Vote Act was to, at the federal level, address some inadequacies in our voting system in the country. And so Congress passed this federal law and made some swooping changes to the federal law. And so within that law, it created the Protection and Voter Access Program. And the Protection and Voter Access Program works to ensure, this is very important, that persons with disability shall have an opportunity to cast a private, very important, independent vote and have full participation in the electoral process in registering to vote, casting a vote, and accessing polling places. So some keywords we want to really focus on is make sure that as a person with a disability, you have the right to cast a private and independent vote. So next slide. So as Brittany mentioned earlier, this week is National Voter Registration Week. It goes from July 13th through the 17th, and this is a national voter registration drive. This week, a lot of disability organizations throughout the country are going to be doing some voter registration activities, voter education. I really want to thank the Brain Injury Alliance of Arizona for putting this together very quickly around National Disability Voter Registration Week. So this is a very important time to celebrate voter registration. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit more. Brittany had mentioned that they are partnering with the Arizona Center for Disability Law, and there are about 15 other disability organizations in Arizona that are partnering with the Arizona Center for Disability Law. We received a special URL link from the Arizona Secretary of State to assist in virtual voter registration drive. And this is really happening because of the COVID-19 outbreak. Oftentimes voter registration is done in person. Due to COVID-19, a lot of those activities have stopped. So the Secretary of State feels that it's very important that we continue with voter registration. And so what happens now with the virtual voter registration drive, and really the focus of it is to increase voter registration among Arizonans with disabilities, and it's going to be online. This PowerPoint has a link to that link, and I would encourage you to please share with your friends, your colleague, and talk to them about voter registration. And we'll talk a bit more if you need assistance in terms of voter registration. Okay, next slide, please. So, upcoming elections. So why are we here today? And we're going to be talking about elections. So Arizona has two upcoming elections. We have the Arizona primaries, which are occurring on August the 4th. And I'll explain a little bit difference between, for those who may not know, the difference between the primary and general election. The primary election is held when political parties will select among their candidates who they will choose to vote in the general election. The deadline to register was July the 6th, which has passed. So, but you still can register the vote. If you have not registered the vote yet for the general election, you have until October the 5th to register for the general election. That would include our presidential election. So it's very important to keep these dates in mind. And if you have not registered, please, you have until October the 5th to get that information in. Next slide, please. So before we get into how to vote, how to register, I thought I'd put some information up on the screen for you. Great voter educational resources for you. If you have not been to Arizona Citizens Clean Elections, I would highly encourage you to go to their website. That is an agency's sole purpose is to provide voter education. They oversee a lot of different aspects of information about elections in Arizona. So please go to Arizona Citizens Clean Election. Your chief election official for the state of Arizona is our Arizona Secretary of State. I have provided her link, and I would encourage you to go to the Secretary of State and see what kind of information is available. And I want to say this to everyone who's on this webinar today, is that elections are ran by counties. We have 15 counties in the state of Arizona, and each one of those counties run their elections. So there are two entities at the county level that you need to be very familiar with. Those are your county recorders. We have 15 county recorders in the state of Arizona. So if you live in Yavapai County, please check with your county recorder. We have our county recorder in Maricopa County. In addition to our county recorders, we have our election departments, and I would encourage you to contact your election department if you have any questions about accessibility, if you have any questions about what that county is doing to address your needs, if you have any concerns about voting in COVID-19, or any options that you have accessibility issues in your county, because each county operates their own elections. Okay, so next slide, please. All right, so this information comes from the Secretary of State's website. Okay, so for those who may have questions about receiving assistance, so this information comes directly from our Secretary of State. If an individual is unable to sign or fully complete election materials such as voter registration forms, early ballot, and early ballot affidavit, they may be assisted by an individual who is willing to help at that person's direction. This also includes receiving assistance at the polling place by poll workers of two different parties, or an individual the voter with a disability chooses. So you can choose that individual to help you with this process. Next slide, please. So let's start talking about registering to vote. So there are things that need to happen before you vote in Arizona and in this country. The first thing you have to do, you have to register to vote. And there are some requirements on you to vote. You must be a U.S. citizen. And if you voted in Arizona, you must be an Arizona citizen. You must be 18 years of age or older, or before the day of the next general election. So oftentimes people are 17 years old, but they're going to turn 18 by the next general election. They can register while they're 17 years old. Really important, elections are ran by states and by counties. In the state of Arizona, you must be registered 29 days prior to any election you're going to be voting in. So if you try to register shorter days than that, 10 days before, 15, you will not be able to register to vote. And you can register, but you can't vote in that election. Okay. So if you have people that come in from other states, they may have different laws that allow them to register the same day they vote. That does not occur in Arizona. So you have to make sure that you need to make sure you're registered 29 days prior to the election. Next slide, please. Okay, so some people have questions about voting and guardianship. Voting under limited guardianship is available in Arizona. I would suggest you go to the link and get additional information about the process in terms of voting under limited guardianship. There's a couple ways you can do this. You can try to do limited guardianship through the health system in your county court. They have information on how you can possibly do self-help for limited guardianship. And also, you may talk to an attorney who practice law in the area of guardianship. But it's really important that it does allow a person to vote under limited guardianship in the state of Arizona. That happened in 2012. Next, please. Next slide, please. Okay. So, questions. Voters without a permanent home. That's a term that we use for people who are homeless, who may not have a home. So the question is, can you vote if you're homeless? It says a person who does not reside at a fixed, permanent, or private structure shall properly register to vote if that person is qualified and if that person's registration address is at any of the following locations in the state. Okay, so if you do not have a home, you're homeless, you're in a transient movement period between different places, you still can vote. If, next slide, if, okay, a homeless shelter to which register regular returns. So if you live in a homeless shelter, you can register to vote. That will be your address. A temporary place for living, that individual is a resident, a halfway house, a transition house. Okay. Number 3, some people receive their information at the courthouse in their county that they reside. So if you live in Maricopa County, if you have any questions about that, please contact the Maricopa County Election Department or County Recorder's Office, and they'll provide you additional information regarding the courthouse and the ability to use their facility. And also general delivery address at the post office covering the location where the residence is a resident. So general delivery. So if you have that, either one of those, 1 through 4, you can register to vote in the state of Arizona. So if you look at your voter registration form, there are actual coordinates on that document that you list the clear sections that you have, and you can register to vote. Next slide, please. Okay, so who cannot vote in Arizona? If you have been convicted of a felony and have not had your rights restored, there are organizations that do assist you in getting your rights restored. But in the state of Arizona, if you have not had your rights restored and you're a felon, you cannot vote. Second, you have been adjudicated or incapacitated, have been adjudicated or incapacitated by a court of law. Okay? Then you cannot vote. Next slide, please. So, how to register to vote? There are many different ways you can register to vote. Number 1, there are actual physical forms that they're located in different places that you can pick those forms up, complete those forms, and return those forms back to your counties, and they will process those forms. You can also register online, and that's the easiest, most safest, convenient way for you to do. And if you're going to register online, if you have an Arizona driving license or an Arizona non-operating ID card issued by Motor Vehicle Division, you may register to vote through Service Arizona. And if you look at this website below, this is the special URL that the Arizona Center for Disability has with its partners that will take you directly to Service Arizona to get that voting process started. Next slide, please. Also, you can register your county recorder's office. Many of these offices are closed, but you can reach out to them and they can assist you with the voter registration process. This is the link, following link. You can go to that link. The Arizona Secretary of State. You can go to the Arizona Secretary of State website. They have information about registering to vote. And what's really important now is, this has been around for many, many years, is that when you apply for state services or benefits, such as access, such as vocational rehabilitation services, DD services, they're supposed to ask you, are you interested in registering to vote? And they can assist you to register to vote. And also political parties and other organizations can assist you. So there are many different organizations out there that can assist you to register to vote. Next slide, please. So, as you know, everyone, we are living in some unique times. And so the concerns that many people may have is voting during COVID-19 outbreak. So what are my options? So if you are a person with a disability or have medical concerns about voting in person during the primary or general election, you have several options to consider in casting your vote. But please check with your county election department officials regarding your options. And so we're going to list a few options here. Next slide, please. So, ways to vote. You can vote in person. You can vote in person at non-peak hours. So if you're concerned about large crowds, I would encourage you to contact your election officials. They know best when peak hours for voting, they experience peak hours. So if you have concerns, please contact them. Vote centers. Many counties operate vote centers. Vote centers, they're normally in a larger building, so they can address the issue of physical distancing. And also, just a note, I have been in contact with many of our election officials throughout the state of Arizona and talked to them about some precautions that they're taking in terms of disinfecting the machines, having masks for workers and also masks available for voters who want to vote. So our election officials are working hard to make your voting experience safe for you for the primary and general election. Also, you can vote by using the accessible voting equipment. You can request an alternative ballot format such as large print or braille ballot. Make sure if you're requesting alternative ballots, please do that early enough. So give yourself time to fill the ballot in and return that ballot so it can be counted. Okay, so give yourself plenty of time to request those alternative ballots. Please, next slide, please. So there's other ways you can vote. If you're not on the permanent early voting PEVL list, you can ask for a one-time ballot request to vote in the elections, upcoming elections. So please do that early enough so you can ask for that one-time ballot. So please contact your local election officials about the one-time ballot. Permanent early voting list, okay? So permanent early voting list is a way for you to get on the list, and you will receive your ballot normally 27 days prior to any election. You will get it by mail and you will vote by mail. Okay, so you would do all this from the comfort of your home. And if you're on the permanent early voting list, you will receive all of your ballots in the mail that are appropriate, and you will vote from home. Also, curbside voting and curbside drop-off. This is not available in all counties, but this is, so contact your county and discuss with them and see if they offer curbside voting and curbside drop-off. That means that you vote from your car, and so and you can drop your ballot off. So please check with your county to see the availability. Also, absentee ballot. If you're going to be leaving the country, this is for military and people traveling overseas. If you're going to be out of the country during some elections, you can go to the Secretary state website, and you can actually get your ballot, and you can overseas ballot and get that mailed in. Next slide, please. Special Election Board. So the Special Election Board, and when we talk about this, is voting at home or at work by using the Special Election Board. Individuals from 2 different political parties will come to you to assist you in casting your vote. Contact the county election department for more information on availability regarding the Special Election Board. So special election boards are going to be operated either by your county election department or your recorder's office. So that's why it's important that you reach out to your county and find out who operates your special election board and make those arrangements. So you need to make that as soon as you can with the county to get the special election board to come to your home or place of employment to assist you in voting. As I mentioned to you, that is operated by individual counties. Please contact your county recorder or election department and inquire on the manner the special election board operates in your county. Okay, next slide, please. On voting day. So it's voting day. So number one thing you need to know is where to vote. Very important. Polling locations do change. And due to COVID-19, many of the polling places that traditionally you may have voted in the past may no longer be there. So I would highly encourage you, prior to going to the polls, the day or two before, go to this website, and you'll be able to locate your polling location. If you're not able to do it through the website, please contact your election department, and they will be happy to provide you that information on your polling.
Hey, how are you?
Okay.
Good. So I'm sorry to bother you on Friday afternoon.
Someone, could you mute your phone? Thank you. Okay. What do I need to take with me to vote? Very important. On election day, what do I need to take with me? You need to take valid ID. Okay, very important. Arizona requires you to have valid ID. So what is valid ID? Okay, so an Arizona driver license or state issued ID, or you can go to the Secretary of State's website and get a list of identification that you need. Okay, sometimes people don't have certain types of ID, so you're gonna need multiple types of ID. So just to be safe, set yourself up for success, make sure you take your ID with you, okay, when you go to vote. Next slide, please. Okay, so on election day, if you go to the polls and you're trying to vote and you come across a problem for whatever reason, your name is not on the rolls, you feel that the accessible machines are not on, or the poll workers being rude to you, you're just having some issues at the polls, okay? At each polling location, we'll have an election official there to help you resolve any voting problem. These election officials are called, and they have different names depending on your county, so that's why I put all 3. They're called inspectors, they're called judges, or they're called marshals, okay? So if you're at a polling location, it could be an accessibility issue. You're getting into the polling area to vote. You see some problems, please contact your election official. They're there to help you resolve these particular issues on election day. And remember this, you have the right to cast a provisional ballot no matter what. So if you're not able to resolve any of your issues, please ask for a provisional ballot. Some of the issues that might occur when you're at the polling location, you moved, you didn't update your voter registration, you got married, you forgot to update your voter registration, okay? Or you don't have proper ID. So there are some reasons that you might want to cast your provisional ballot, and in many of those cases, those provisional ballots are counted when they sort out whatever issue you may have. Okay, next slide, please. So the Arizona Center for Disability Law operates a voter hotline on election day from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. So if you're not able to resolve your issue with your election official at the poll, you can give the Arizona Center for Disability Law, and we will assist you in trying to resolve the issue that you have at the polls. Our goal is to make sure that you do not become disenfranchised and that you have the ability to cast your vote. And so I would encourage you to make sure that you contact either your election officials at the polls when you have difficulties, or please contact the Arizona Center for Disability Law, and we will be happy to help you resolve your issue on election day. Okay, next slide. All right, so what I have up on the screen is information about the Arizona Center for Disability Law. I have our email address, and I have our website address. The Arizona Center for Disability Law has a great deal of voting information on our website. We have videos, we're updating materials for you. I would encourage you to go to our website and take a look at it. And that is the end of our presentation. Now we're going to go into the question and answer portion of the program. As I mentioned to you earlier, I'm not an attorney, and so I cannot answer legal questions. If you have legal questions, the address is on the PowerPoint presentation. Please email our office, and we will see if we can get that information to the right person in our office and to respond to whatever question that you may have. So one of the questions that was presented to us talks about how does someone request a volunteer team to come to their home to help them? So that question I do believe that's the special election board. If you're looking for someone to come to your home to assist you from voting, that's the special election board. Please contact your county election officials. I have spoken to the counties, and those special election board personnel, which were from 2 different political parties, they're there to help you vote. And they will take proper precaution when they come to you to assist you in voting. There was a question about limited guardianship. I kind of answered it earlier during the presentation. Individuals can contact their courthouses, and each courthouse does have information on self-help tools regarding limited guardianship. I would encourage you to contact your county court system. There's also attorneys who do practice law in the area of guardianship that will be able to assist you. And there may be some additional resources that, Brittany, you may have available for individuals during this presentation, if you want to talk about that or
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So essentially,
yeah, go ahead, Brittany. Okay.
Right now.
Right now, Brittany.
Okay. So essentially with the Brain Injury Alliance of Arizona, we have a lot of different categories for resources depending on different needs of our different clients and the people who contact us. So like I mentioned, Kristen will be sending out an email with both Renaldo's and my contact information in case you have some of these follow-up questions. We want to make sure you get properly connected, but we do have a section of our resource database that's dedicated to guardianship and other legal options that legal attorneys and things like that for people who are looking for that type of a resource. So you can easily contact us and we can connect you with the people who are in our database.
Okay. So one of the questions that we had is, it talks about what resources can we direct a person with a disability to help with virtual voter registration. Now, one of the things that a person with a disability has a right to choose any individual that he or she wants to assist them in the voting process. That person is there to assist them. It can be a friend, family member that can assist them in this process, but their role is not to tell that person who to vote, but to assist him in this process. So that individual has right, even when they go to vote, they can actually ask someone to assist them in voting, going into the polls, and to assist them. They can make that choice, or they can ask a board worker or poll worker to assist them with the voting process. So the most important thing about it is that person has a choice who they want to assist them in the voting process. They make that choice, who they want to assist them in the voting process. Okay. Brittany, were there other questions in the chat room
Yes, yes, and I can just go ahead, and I think you may have answered one, but you can reiterate this because I think it bears repeating. So I'll let you know what the questions are. So one we had from Katie was, how do you get a ballot to vote with COVID-19? And is it just by mail due to COVID-19?
So how do you get a ballot? If you want to get a ballot, you must register either for one-time ballot, or you must get on the permanent early voting list. So if you're already registered and you want to get a ballot for the general election, you want to make sure that you update your voter registration. You can ask for a ballot, a one-time ballot, or you can update your voter registration and get on the permanent list and receive your ballot for every appropriate election. So the first step is to reach out to your county recorder's office or election department and ask those questions about getting a mail ballot because you're concerned with going directly to the polls.
Okay, and just for the second part of their question, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Renaldo, but it sounds like as far as we know, most of the polling places will still be open even during COVID-19.
Absolutely, absolutely. Arizona still will have physical polling locations. Many counties will have drive-up voting, curbside voting. So one of the things that I've talked to election officials about is maintaining tools in the toolbox, expanding your voting opportunities for people with disabilities. But I want to say this is, you really want to contact your election department and see what resources and what options that you have in your county. All counties will have physical vote locations. I've spoken to many of those election officials. They're going to be working very hard to make sure those polling environments are safe for voters. And I would encourage each voter to contact their election department and ask them a question. I am a voter. I'm concerned with COVID-19, but I want to vote in person. What are some of the things that you're doing to make sure that that's going to be a positive experience for me and for board workers too? Because we have staff working there too. So we have to make sure the worker and the voter is safe when we go to vote. So a lot of election officials have a really comprehensive plan that they're working on. They're getting guidance from the CDC, and a lot of those plans are still being developed as we speak. Okay, so please contact them directly. Next question.
Great points. Yes. So the next question is, will the slides, so the slides that you presented, be made available after the webinar? This is great information.
It's available for you. Brittany, if you want to send the slides out, it's great. You'll get those slides. And so Brittany will send that information out to you. And I would also encourage you to, there's some great resources on those slides. Clean Elections, Secretary of State, our website, a lot of good voting information on that we have on our website. We're going to be updating. And so I would really encourage you to go to those websites.
Awesome, thank you. We'll make sure we get those slides out to everyone in the aforementioned email that will contain all the other great information and links that you can use to register and click on. We wanted to make sure that if anyone had developed any questions during the course of listening to the presentation, you can go ahead and enter those into the chat box or the Q&A now. So we can give you a minute or so to do that, and feel free to go ahead and ask any other additional questions. We'd love to help answer them if we can. But in the meantime, we'd love to thank Renaldo for all the hard work he put into this presentation and for being here and collaborating with the Brain Injury Alliance of Arizona. We are really happy we were able to make this all come together, and we really appreciate all that you guys do.
And I thank you. And I really want to thank the Brain Injury Association for putting this together. It's really important that we get this information out to the community about your options to vote during COVID-19. I know a lot of people are really concerned, and we at ACDL are working very hard with our election officials. We just had a very successful disability roundtable with Maricopa County Recorder Fontes, talking about what are the things that his office and his election department is going to be doing to address the needs of voters with disability. They're coming up with some great ideas, creative ideas. Please feel free to contact Recorder Fontes and the election department staff. And for everyone who's from different counties, please contact your election department. Like I said, elections are ran at the county level. The resources they're putting in, providing input to those election officials as they design and address your needs during the COVID-19. Please reach out to them, talk with them, let them know the concerns that you have. Partner with your election officials. And I know while I'm on the web that election officials are looking to hire people with disabilities to come work the elections. If you feel that's something you want to do, please contact your election department and see what's available to participate in this process. Any more questions coming through, Brittany?
Not that I see, but the great thing is, like I've said, I'll be a broken record because it's important. You'll be receiving an email after this. So if you do think of any questions and are like, oh shoot, I wish I had thought of that earlier, feel free to respond to the emails, and that's what we're here for, to make sure you get connected. So that looks like it's about it on our end. Once again, we'd like to thank the ACDL for participating with us at the Brain Injury Alliance today. And we're glad you could all make it. And we hope you have a wonderful rest of your afternoon and a great weekend.
And have a good day. Everyone. Bye. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.